Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a few additional comments about the if statement that I think most people will find useful. Um, a lot of times this scenario pops up where I want to do something if I'm less than something or bigger than something else. So in this case, I'm checking to see if choice is less than 11, and if that's true, then I'm going to go and right after it check to see if choice is bigger than 5. We would probably write this in math class more along these lines. We'd write it as kind of a compound inequality along these lines. So we'd say 5 is less than choice, which is less than 11, and we'd sort of trap it like this. Now, in C++, it's not great to do it that way. Sometimes you can get some unexpected behavior if you try to like jam this into the if statement. So instead, if we want to replace like this kind of series of nested if statements, we could do something like this. If choice is less than 11 and choice is bigger than 5, okay, that accomplishes both tasks. So just to see how this runs real quick, I'll click on run, bring this over here, and so if I say it is 8, I'll print it out something cool. Why did I print out something cool? Because it's bigger than 5 and less than 11. Similarly, if I actually type in 11, hey look, it didn't print anything out because I'm strictly less than 11. Okay. Now, the kind of counterpoint to this one is the or command. And a lot of times we want to do something, if either or, one condition is met or another condition is met. So classic example of that is, let's say we're playing a little bit of craps, and we don't want to, we want to have on the first roll of the game, if somebody gets a 7 or an 11, then something cool will happen. You win the game, right? So we give this a little bit of a run here. Okay, so I get a 6, nothing happens. I get an 11, something cool happens. I get a 7. In this case, something cool happens. Now, one of the things that's really important to note is that, or and are very different. And sometimes, like in our natural, way of speaking, we kind of say or and when we mean, kind of the opposite. So I'm going to show you kind of an error that'll pop up very often if you do and, which is if I put and, okay, it means that both of these things have to be true, okay, for it to be happen, or for this command to get executed. So in this case, what's going to happen if I try to put one of these things in? So I'm going to run it. I'm going to put in 11, which we want to have trigger, but nothing happened. Well, why is that? Well, because I told the computer to check for it to be equal to 11 and for it to be equal to 7. Is it possible for it to be equal to 11 and 7 at the same time? No. It sounds like kind of like a no-brainer, obvious thing, and for a lot of you it will be. But this is something that that happens a lot when we're debugging code, is that sometimes we create impossible situations. And those are the things that are not going to show up with a little red mark on the side saying you screwed up. It's going to be like, no, your syntax is correct, but your output is not going to be correct. So this is kind of a little reminder that when you debug stuff, if I take away this parenthesis and give it a run, hey, I get this error down here that says I expected to see that nice parenthesis. Okay, but I am not getting an error when I run this that says you just made an if statement that has impossible conditions to meet. So there's going to be some stuff that we have to kind of look. It's actually a lot like your grammar checker, your spell checker on your computer when you're writing a paper. If I write, cereal instead of surreal into a thing, or I write clot instead of clout, okay, the spell checker is not going to get mad at you, even though they really mean really big things different. So anyways, so that's kind of the same thing here. So just to get you back thinking about how to check your work a little bit. So again, this is a way to avoid having to use kind of extra if statements, though sometimes you can kind of come up with elegant solutions that are actually better than this. And I'll show you something real quick here. So let's say I wanted to know, I wanted to have some behaviors that they were sort of tiered. Like the grade example in your homework is an example of one of these, but the BMI, some other options. If I say something like, if choice is less than 90, okay, do I need to go and say if choice is bigger than 80 and choice is less than 90 down here? If I wanted to trap between a range, saying, actually I should probably say bigger than 90. Don't want to say, hey, if choice is bigger than 90, I'm going to do something cool. My next if statement, do I need to say if it's less than 90 and bigger than 80? Well, actually, I don't have to do that. Why? Because if this thing didn't trigger, okay, this isn't true, right? So this guy, if I just check, I should actually probably put an else in here. If I check this and it doesn't pass, okay, there's no chance for it to get down here and trigger this else statement if choice is still less than 90. Hopefully that sort of made sense. So the idea is that we can get rid of that particular command, and it gave us the same thing. So in this case, if I use an else if, a lot of times that can replace an and if we have certain setups of our program. So just something to consider when you're thinking about these things. So hopefully that's useful. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.